So hello everybody, welcome to session 404 of the First Chronicles of LA Noire. We've been playing Earth and Shadows. This is our fourth and final game of this arc, where maybe some of these characters will be seen again. Maybe they all fade away. Maybe they won't survive the evening. So I've got the full crew back here for the final game. This has been recorded as a podcast for the wonderful Gauntlet as part of this actual plays. So what I'm going to ask people to do, in the order I can see them on the character keeper, is just get them to reintroduce their characters, run down what happened last time, and figure out if they're going to get a happy ending in a noir story. What do you think the chances of that are? Will, let's hear from Richie first. What did Richie get up to last time?
Last time, Richie promised Blanche, the ghost, that he would get vengeance upon those responsible for it, and managed to rope his acquaintance Ruby the Tainted into helping him broker a deal between them and the East Coast vampires, landing the Black Widow into getting the Black Widow off his back, and essentially selling her out to the East Coast vampires.
Poor Black Widow. What'd she ever do to you?
She wants to eat me.
Fair. And then we have Rose, played by Pearl. Pearl wasn't here last time, but Pearl, are you with us?
I am, although if I could go in a second, I'm going to switch to my laptop.
Yeah, no problem.
Right now.
I'll pick you up. I'll pick you up last. I'll go across to our werewolf Lee.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm David, and I'm playing Lee, the werewolf. Last time we saw Lee, he was protecting his turf. In specific, the small crew of queer kids and young adults who kind of live just off the Sunset Strip, against an attack. Attack is perhaps technically the wrong term, against a police action led by a new cop on the beat, or at least on our beat, Lieutenant Dudley, who is, to all intents and purposes, he is working for some elements in the city who want to take control over some of these supernatural elements. He seems aware of the existence of supernatural creatures. I got into something of a tussle with him to try and help one of my acquaintances, a fae by the name of Obi, escape, which led to me running from the cops before meeting up with the others to discuss our next move. I think that's broadly my last session for me.
And Ruby Chance.
So Ruby Chance was back last session after a week's gap, just because I couldn't make session 2. So when she started hearing of Blanche's appearances around the city, since Blanche had been one of her girls, she wanted to try and understand what had happened. Yes, Blanche was due to be sold down to the river to Mr. Nobody, but she was due to have a life of stardom first. This wasn't part of the deal. So she got Richie to come to her office in the hope of getting him to figure out where Blanche was so they could go and talk to her. But it all went a little bit wrong as he tried to do his mojo on Blanche's file, scrap of hair and so forth. And she ended up going full banshee in the office. So Ruby went full demon back at her, and it all got a bit messy. Lots of things flew around the office and so forth. So after that, Richie made his exit, and Ruby was stuck with the big red phone ringing with Mr. Nobody on the line. So they agreed that Blanche needed to be removed from the picture before she caused any more attention to be dragged to the supernatural, that it wasn't sustainable, she just needed to be resolved, and that he would count one of Ruby's debts to him gone for if she achieved that, or took it on at least. And then he wanted her to sell Richie out to the Black Widow and offered to clear some more debts for doing that, which she wasn't so comfortable with. And he gave the alternative of he'd be equally happy if the Black Widow went away, which was why she and Richie then got back together and started looking into how to make the Black Widow go away. And I think that sort of joins up some of the other threads. So they ended up going to see one, what's his name now? Temperance Goodfellow, who had also, and I suppose this starts to shine a little bit more of a light on perhaps a part of Ruby's character that hadn't come to light so far, was her big filing cabinet of all the people, which included the people she hadn't pushed over to Mr. Nobody. And it turns out that she'd been getting a lot of girls' radio work out on the West Coast, yeah? To get them out of Mr. Nobody's clutches before any deals were struck. So she has actually been playing both sides against the middle a little bit, and even though she is sworn to Mr. Nobody, she is trying to keep as many people out of his clutches as she can. So, and Temperance Goodfellow of the West Coast Vampires is effectively her safe haven, such as it is for these girls.
Grand. So you went to visit
We did.
Mr. Goodfellow. You struck a deal to get vamp on vamp action. I think we ended last session with a swarm of bats that were in the ceiling of his vast penthouse, drop down and fly out elsewhere into the city. Good, and welcome back, Pearl. Do you want to reintroduce us to Rose?
Indeed. Rose is a vampire who is also a bit of a Hollywood starlet, darling of the people who don't know exactly why she seems to retain such a natural youth and beauty. And she's not going to tell anyone until after she's snacked on them and it's too late. I unfortunately wasn't here last session, but I followed along as best I could. And it does seem like some of my cohort from the East Coast are nosing in on my territory, which I'm not appreciating at all. So I'm going to have to figure out what to do about it. Enough has happened since last time I played. It seems like it was really an action-packed session, as I recalled, that I'm not sure that the last things I did are really relevant at this point. But I do intend to get my nose in on the action. I'm not really one to sit by and let things happen without my interference.
Good. Yeah, one of the joys of Urban Shadows is it doesn't stand still. The city moves with or without you. You can spend time looking at each other's eyes, but doesn't mean the werewolves haven't eaten your mother while you were doing it. Right, session intro, ladies and gentlemen. At the beginning of each session, announce which character your character trusts the least. So we are going to I'm going to go in reverse order this time. Ruby Chance, which of the characters does yours trust the least? And then you get to mark a faction for them. You might want to just take a look at your fellow players' sheets at this point and see what factions they've got marked, because you might want to help them get an advance, or you might want to be really mean to them. You don't seem like mean people to me. So Ruby, Caroline, let's start with you. Which one do you trust the least?
So I think at this point, simply because we're heading into a vamp-on-vamp war, it's probably got to be Rose, simply because we're not quite sure what her take on this is going to be. So for her, I would suggest...
No.
Oh, sorry.
You announce
Oh, it's the other. It's
character.
the other way
They
around, isn't it?
Elite, and then Rose and Pearl get to tell you to spotlight which faction they'd like to cause you trouble with. So, looking at your factions, you don't have anything with mortality. So, if you did highlight someone for mortality, reminding that the mortality NPCs are on the character keeper. We have Maggie, Peaches, Dolly, Mayor Joe Harvey, Preacher Victor Bright, Carl Lear. Yeah. So you have to mark a faction and suggest a rumor, Pearl, or something that's going to blow up in
For Ruby, right?
for Ruby. Yeah. The
I
only
just want to
faction
make sure I'm looking at the right sheet because I only have her marked off as having one with Y. Oh, the X's. Never mind. I was looking at the wrong column. Yeah, so definitely mortality. And the rumor that I would like to establish, if I can get things to scroll the way I'm wanting them to. I think I'm looking at the characters and trying to see if there's something interesting. That Lieutenant Dudley has been taking a special interest in Ruby's whereabouts, and we're not quite sure why, but it's probably not good.
No, I think we've established that Lieutenant Dudley is not a good fit. I think Lee did not enjoy his time with Lieutenant Dudley. So, Caroline, you need to roll 2 dice and add your mortality to it.
Mm-hmm. That's unmuted. Okay, give me a minute.
Yeah, no
roll
problem.
my dice. So that would be a 5, since I have no mortality.
On a miss, you're called flat-footed, unprepared, or unaware. The NPC will tell you who is coming at you. Well, that'll be Lieutenant Dudley and his bunch of goons. Let's see if you have as much fun as Lee did. But we'll pick
Are
that
we
up
going
in
to?
play.
I was going to say, should we do all the starting things first
We
and
are.
then circle back?
No, yeah. So that's who's after you. So Lieutenant Dudley is going to get in your grill when you ain't going to be ready when he comes to call it. Okay, Lee. Who does Lee trust least out of the players? Actually, the characters, not the players. That's a bit personal.
Yes. Yeah, I think Lee probably doesn't really. I still don't think entirely trusts Ruby. Mr. Nobody is too connected to this whole blacklist thing. And even though it seems like maybe it's these vampires who are doing it, he's still not entirely trusting that to be the case.
That is wholly fair. So let's have a look at Lee's board. Yeah, let's go for power. So, that's just confusing. We've got another Rich.
No, that is Richie.
Yeah, sorry. Gotcha. Sorry, there's the NPC and there's the PC and then the NPCs. Yeah, I think we are going to bring Gregory Peck back in. Noted critic of HUAC.
House Un-American Activities. So they were the ones who were pointing at almost everyone in Hollywood and telling them, "You're a commie." And actually, Gregory Peck was not in favour of such things. So a number of his friends got picked up and blacklisted.
Right. Well, in which case, I'm going to suggest not necessarily something necessarily straight against it, but more an entanglement than necessarily straight aggression. But I think he is very interested to pin Lee down and have a chat to him because Lee is involved in the queer scene. And of the people who are left, maybe he's trying to form an alliance. Maybe he's just trying to make sure he's one step ahead of these other guys. But, does that work?
It does.
That sounds
Let's see, Lee, if this is a good thing for you or a bad thing.
Wow, that's actually with my -2, a 10.
Even on two. So, because you didn't deal with power last time. So you said you took it down, didn't you? So,
yeah.
The lovely thing is now, the conflict laid out. You got a debt on someone in that faction, a useful piece of information or equipment, your choice. So, what has Lee got over Gregory Peck or his circle?
I think I'm just going to go with the sort of fairly straightforward one here of Gregory Peck does owe me a debt. I think maybe I helped one of his friends get out of a jam when they were caught up in some activity that would have reflected poorly on their public appearance, and I managed to sort of get them out before the press or anyone else got involved.
Wonderful. That makes sense to me. So next is Rose West. Who does Rose West trust least out of the players? Characters, even. That's going to flip in my brain tonight for some reason.
I think probably Ruby. Rose has always found Ruby to be a bit suspicious and playing things a bit too close to the vest, at least with Rose.
So if you're watching this actual play, folks, what I would say is, if you like doing mean things to other player characters and making up rumors about the characters, always play the tainted, because this always happens to a tainted player. They're always the one that people trust the least.
Worse than that, play the GM's wife, because it's assumed you must have the inside knowledge and just be playing tag teaming.
If I've got inside knowledge, I wouldn't share it with you. I don't have it.
No, I know.
Right. So, which faction? Oh, it looks like Rose finished all her factions last time she played, so it doesn't really matter. So you may want to point at something similar or something completely different.
Okay. Let's have a look.
Spirit or Knight might be interesting, because it won't be to bring.
Well, it won't be Spirit, because that's the stat, not the faction.
Oh, sorry. Wild or Knight, even.
Yeah, let's go with Wild. Are we marking these off straight away, by the way?
Yes, you do. And if you tap this out now, you're taking advance.
Yeah, so I've just filled, so I will have a look at my advances in a minute. But I'll just make sure that X is in there for the minute for Rose West. So for Wild, I mean, we could do something with Mr. Nobody. I'm half thinking of pulling in something to do with Obi Summers. Let's try, trying to keep the NPCs we've already got tight in the foreground. So last we saw Obi Summers, he was scarpering out of a house of, well, I don't know whether it was ill repute or good repute. It depends how good the ladies were, really. But rapidly trying to hoist up his trousers and avoid a police raid. So, well, where'd you go when you can't go to your normal interesting places? I'm wondering whether he's tried to come and find Rose for a bit of a different party. Not necessarily risking throwing himself on her, but she does always throw some marvellous parties, and she might be able to introduce him to somebody.
Okay.
So, Horny Fairy.
You want to roll 2d6 then, please, Pearl, and add or subtract your wild from or to it.
My wild is 1. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 7 with
So
wild.
that's middle of the road, which means you're neck deep in it. You owe someone in that faction a debt, and someone in that faction owes a debt to you. So just to pick that all up, we all know Mr. Nobody is. Obi Summers was in the nightclub from the first session. He's in a bit of a turf war with the Invernos. Nightshade was the Fae who was causing Lee all sorts of trouble down on the boardwalk, and Anastasia is his sister, who remains often on the casino boat out in the water. So, who has a debt over you, and who do you owe a debt to? Is Rose in play with the Nightshades, the Invernos, and would like to take Obi Summers out, or is she on Obi's side, maybe?
Oh, bother.
Or maybe Mr. Nobody re-owes you a debt again.
That would be nice. I enjoyed him owing me one last time. So I'd be happy to take that. I'm also trying to look up advances because I forgot advancements because I forgot I had one. But yeah, Mr. Nobody, I would be very glad to have him in my debt.
And who has a debt over you, Obi or one of the Invernos?
Let's call it Obi.
Okay, so Obi's coming up on you, and he's got a debt over you. Lovely.
Figure that'll make things interesting.
Okay, and last but not least, Richie, who do you trust the least?
I got a bad feeling about Lee. He won't. I don't think the kid's got what it takes. Maybe I'm putting my neck out on the line for no reward.
He's a bit of a cuddly werewolf, you're right. So, who would Lee like to mark up for Richie?
Right, I think I'm going to go with mortality. And I think, this kind of feeds into what we already know, but in his most recent like sermon, which I think might have actually been like on the radio, the Pastor Bright was railing against the influence of witchcraft and those who traffic with the dead in his sermon. And rumor has it that members of his congregation are out in the streets looking for suspicious people to who might be dabbling in the dark arts.
Awesome. So, can we roll with your mortality modifier, please, Lee? Sorry, Richie.
That is a straight up miss.
Oh, good news for me. So I think we might see Pastor Bright and his crew make an appearance this evening. Can only end well for Richie. And I really look forward to Will you rolling as well as you have or Chronicle. Good. All right. So it's all going to go delightfully well for everyone. So let's perhaps. I'm going to do a description first, I suppose, which is the bats flew over the city. The moon was full, and they dropped just outside downtown LA to where the Black Widow and her houses kept their court. Black Widow was number 2 vampire in the city. Only the prince stood above her, and Mr. Goodfellow was definitely ready to take her out. As the bats come through, they smash through the windows and then take on a more bestial, horrific Eastern European form. They ambush quickly Black Widow's forces, and without much ado, Black Widow is destroyed by the East Coast vampires. The web between the West Coast vampires, that as little as they like each other, they're each other's keepers. Rose feels Black Widow disappear from this world and awakes from her stupor of her latest feed. How do we find Rose, and how does she react?
There we go. Sorry, my computer's taking a moment. So I've woken up and I sense the loss. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Relieved but unnerved, I would say. I was never really a big fan of the Black Widow. And last I checked, she was having some untoward intentions towards some people that I was fond of. So I'm glad to have her out of the way, but unnerved that people are powerful enough to take her out. And I think one of my goals is going to be to figure out exactly what happened. Even though I know what happened, but I don't think Rose knows what happens.
Where does Rose... How does Rose want to achieve that? What do you want her to do and to investigate? Or not investigate, or find someone? What's your course of action?
I was just going to ask, actually, I have an advancement that I haven't taken, and there are 2 I was considering. One is the Bloodhound from the Werewolf. And the other one, which I'm actually using the book because I just got it for my birthday, very exciting, was a similar one where if you want to take vengeance or otherwise, you take a +1 forward anytime you're acting on it. But I think if Bloodhound makes sense, I might like to take that for my advancement and then be able to find her or the people in question if I can.
Yeah, sure. If that makes sense to you, then
I figure blood is kind of my thing. So, Yeah. The other option I was thinking of was the conduit from the Oracle, which would let all of us advance our let it out. So if anybody has a preference there.
I think Bloodhound sounds good for you.
Okay, taken then. So can I call Richie? Can I get a hold of him easily or no?
Not near a phone or anything at the moment.
Okay.
I'm not at home. If this is in the minutes following the death.
I was right in the minutes after. It's not just like I woke up and I didn't know how long I'd been in a stupor for.
Just you awoken from it. I'm going to suggest that the reason Rose wasn't engaged in the previous evening's affairs is she feasted very well, but possibly on someone who'd taken something not too effective for keeping vampires awake. So you awake sort of with a bit of a headache and a stupor, and whilst you've been sleeping, it looks like the city's gone to hell.
I was very hungry. It's been really hot, so I've been needing to feast a little bit extra. I might have overdone it a smidge.
Maggie's put down like a number of notes saying that the Black Widow is waiting for your decision. Your brood and your cover note are warning you that there are other vampires in the city who are trying to take over our territory.
Are any of the notes from Mags things that I could sort of read and take an interest in going somewhere based on that to investigate? I think for Bloodhound, if I remember reading it correctly, I sort of have to get their scent, right? Before I
but
can use it.
I think you know Richie's scent, right? Faintly of booze.
Yes, I was thinking more of the East Coast vamps. But sure, I'll use Bloodhound to search out Richie. That's actually a good idea. So when I hunt someone, I don't know that I'm hunting you, but I will take it. Well, with blood on a hit, you know exactly where to find them and follow their scent until you do. A 10 plus, take one. Plus one forward again. On a miss, someone unpleasant finds me first. Given my history with rolling, this should be exciting. Let me roll that. Yeah, that's a miss. So someone unpleasant's going to find me first.
Well, that could be anyone in
this point.
city. Give me 2 moments to think about that, and come back to Rose in a second. Where are the other 3 of you? You were all in Mr. Goodfellow's penthouse. What happened to you? You stay there? You still there? Separating?
That's true. Are they actually allowing us to leave, or are they holding us until it's evident whether or not we've actually given legit info?
I think they probably would have held you till the legit info was.
Or until the hit had gone off?
Mm-hmm. So really, around probably an hour later, one of the bats returns as it hits the ground, turns into a human form. Again, blonde-haired, European-looking, classic waspy stock. Approaches and bows before Mr. Goodfellow and says, "It is done." He turns to look at you. Says your information was accurate. You have chosen a scene. Well done. Side, sorry, not a scene. You've chosen a side. The Pablore will not forgive you for this. I will offer you safety under our wing, though.
It's okay, Mac. I think I'll take my chances.
As you will, little dreamer. What about you, Miss Chance? You have a survival instinct, always have.
I do, but protection comes at a price. And I'm not quite sure that my employer wouldn't add to his if somebody else was deemed to be taking me under their wing. His do stretch so very far.
That Mr. Goodfellow gives a wry smile. And you? The rebel?
Well, sir, it's a mighty kind offer you made to me, but perhaps I'll take you up on it later. But right now, there's some business of my own I got to attend to, so
Well then, I wish you good fortune. the city and its new masters will not forget the service you have given us. Where do you dissipate to? Where does Lee go?
Lee is going to go back to his original plan from last time before stuff started going off the rails, which is to try and hunt down Nightshade.
Mm-hmm. So back down to the boardwalk and the piers. Okay. Where does Ruby go?
I think there's a very great temptation to try and hide in the back of a bar somewhere until this all blows over. Richie?
I hate to turn down a beautiful lady, but I need a favor from you actually right now, Ruby. I need you to make me an introduction to your boss.
Why do you want to talk to him? Conversations with him don't end well for the other party.
I need to speak to him tomorrow sometime.
Are you cashing in a debt?
I am cashing in a debt.
Right. Okay. Let me just have that. So the debts. Where's my debts gone? Right. Okay. So that clears the last of the debts between us. As far as I know, according to my records, anyway. Okay, Richie, if that's what you want to do, but understand, I keep other people out of his way when I can.
Yeah, I know, Ruby. I'd normally keep I keep out of the way of things like Mr. Nobody too, but it's been a busy week.
Yeah. And when the devil drives and all that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you give me a lift back home?
I can do. Don't have a car here, but I can probably hail one faster than you can.
Yeah, they stopped for you.
Yeah, they do. And yeah, Ruby will ask Mr. Nobody if he'd be interested in meeting with somebody who makes some interesting predictions.
So I'm essentially trying to set up a scene with Mr. Nobody, but I do have another scene that I need to do in prep before I can have my scene with Mr. Nobody.
That's
more for David's structure of like what he wants to do next, kind of thing.
Yeah,
sure.
Is Mr. I tend to assume that Mr. Nobody is somebody who actively wants to meet up with people who are stupid enough to want to meet up with him. Because he usually comes out of such discussions better off.
I think this is exactly the case. Okay, so I'm going to cut back to Rose at this point. And Rose, you found yourself tracking the scent outside the Cairo nightclub where this whole nightmare first started off. And the smell of Richie is coming from inside.
Okay. Can everyone hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So I'm going to follow the scent unless something gets in my way.
Sure. The club is unlocked, considering how it should normally be, but it's not open. It should normally be buzzing at this time of night. So
it's odd and disquieting.
Push at the door. Anything you want to do? Ready with some of the basic moves like investigate a place of power and the like.
Yes. Let me bother. That's an NPC. When I go in, it's unlocked, which it should be. Is there anyone there immediately or no?
You can see Richie dancing alone in the middle of the floor, humming a song to himself.
That's odd. I would like to. What would you say is your vice, Richie?
Games of luck.
Okay. I'm wondering, because if I can indulge you with your vice, I can roll with blood instead of mine to figure you out. But I can't really think of how that would come into play on a dance floor. So maybe I shouldn't use that move. I guess I could just figure you out otherwise, though. Right?
Yeah, you can do just a straightforward figure someone out.
I'm trying to think if I have something more special to do, but I don't think I do. Unless anyone can think of anything. So I will go ahead and try to figure you out. Because it seems weird that you're dancing in the middle of the nightclub by yourself. Yeah, you. The Richie that has appeared here in the nightclub doesn't seem normal. So that's a 9 rolled. Do I have anything to add to it?
Your mind.
No, it's a 0 anyway. So it's a 9.
So they get a hold on you, and yeah. So on a list of the line, they get a hold one on you as well. So you're holding 2, but you can spend the hold to ask some questions.
Oh, and I didn't take my starting move of the Vamp's Web.
Okay.
I don't have to do that now, but I just thought I would mention it while I remembered. Okay, so I will go ahead. Milo, hush, bud. My dog is wanting to be involved, I think, today. I hit hold on 79 and they hold one on me as well. Okay. I would like to know who's pulling that character's strings. Richie's strings.
Okay.
And also how I could put that. How I can get that character to cooperate with me.
Okay, so as you step closer into the light and sort of hear the humming of the music, you realize it doesn't sound like Richie, and the fey glamour around him is less prevalent. And Obi Summers, you can see, I suppose, just catching in a mirror, Obi Summers' reflection and not Richie's.
Okay.
I could get County to cooperate with him. Well, Obi wants something from you, and I'm sure if you do what he wants, he's going to cooperate. If not, is this Richie? Is it an illusion of Richie? You're not quite sure. So the Richie figure smiles a little too wide and says, "Hey, Dame, I've got myself into some trouble. I had a bad night at cards. I'm going to put my hold on you. I'm going to ask, how could I get your character to go to war with some rather mean fae?"
I would say that the way to do it would be to help me make sure I have enough backup, that I'm not facing it alone. I think I'm in a predatory mood, so I'm not necessarily averse to hunting some nasty fae, but I don't want to do it on my own.
Okay.
So
He smiles and the illusion drops away. Apologies for the deception, Olgal, but I knew totally that you'd be looking for Richie. Everyone's always looking for Richie. I need to call in my favor, old friend. Unfortunately, some of the Night Court are rather interested in my club, and I'd rather like to keep it and my neck. I believe that they've thrown their hands in with the West Coast crowd, and I was terribly hoping if perhaps, just perhaps, you'd be willing to bring me the head of Nightshade Inverno. The enemy of my enemy and all that.
very much so. It's not so much about what's in it for me as what do you have to offer me in way of protection.
So he's cashing in a debt on you, so he can to a degree. You can always say no, but there will be implications of that. Said, I'll tell you what, old gal, I'll cancel Richie's mark, or more likely, I'll transfer Richie's mark to you.
I don't know that I want Richie's mark, but I would rather him not have it either. So
someone always wants a bit of that jackanapes hide.
That's true. I'm
sure Richie, as a result, will be willing to help you.
I'm tentatively willing. Before I make any promises, I know how seriously you Fae take your promises. How would you best suggest I go about undertaking this endeavor?
He's been playing silly buggers down at the docks, annoying that werewolf. I'm sure he might want your assistance, and then you won't have to go in alone. He lights a cigarette in a cigarette holder and looks delightfully gauche.
If he's is it the full moon?
Yeah.
Oh bother. If he's cashing in a debt, I'd better go for it.
You can choose to refuse on it, but yeah, it's quite serious to do so. It says it's everything's gone to hell. The vampires are fighting the vampires. The Fae want to fight me, and one of them is just so despicable. He wants to take what Lee owns because he likes the sparkling lights and the boys who dress like ladies.
I mean, nothing wrong with such things, but as long as you're not stealing anything. But you say he wants to take over your
Nightshade de Nervo is like the sort of child who uses a magnifying glass around ants. I really wouldn't tolerate it, and I don't. Lee will either, but he may not be quite up to the task alone. So you'd be doing me a grand favor, maintaining the status quo, and perhaps then we can figure out who's put the cat among the fiction, so that the pigeons have managed to cause such a kerfuffle among our people. Everything has gone along so well recently, and it happens, but there's a big bang and a war, and suddenly they're killing vampires, each other, left, right, and everywhere. It's terrible.
It really is. Everything that's been going on. I can't say that I like it one bit. You know, I was having a very enjoyable lifestyle until recently. All right, I'm going to go. You said that Richie's down at the docks with a werewolf.
Richie last I heard was drinking cocktails downtown with Ruby Charms, but that was a little while ago. He went uptown to one of the very fine hotels. Faye always knows its mark, but you won't find it hard to find Lee, and if you find Lee, you'll find Richie. The two of them do like hanging out with each other.
As well they should. All right. I will go ahead and take this on. I would hate to be well, I'm in your debt. That's the least I can do. So I'm going to go off and head towards Lee.
Okay. Let's cut across to Richie. You said you want to set something up before we get to Mr. Nobody. As you're driving something, I'm going to come to you because I'm intrigued to find out what Richie's playing at. What's your shenanigans?
Well, my shenanigans is I'm going to hit the streets and try and make contact with Lieutenant Dudley himself. In a place public and quiet where he won't plug me the second he sees me. So I will roll with mortality.
Okay.
And that is a... That is a 6, but I am going to spend my hold and turn that into a 7.
Okay.
So whoever I'm going to is juggling their own problems. Whatever I need is more costly than anticipated. Essentially what I'm looking for, what I'm after for Dudley is a sit-down, honest conversation with the man. And the chance to speak in safety.
You you find him. You wait for the right opportunity to come out, and you spot him. It's just near Kids Play Park, and he was getting a hot dog. So you step out from the shadows and into the room with him, and he's just about to put the hot dog in his mouth. Both hands are full, and he spots you. He's weighing up whether to drop the hot dog and go for his gun. He goes, "You've got a lot of nerve coming here, you punk."
I mean, I didn't think we ever had the pleasure, Mr. Dudley. You met a friend of mine, but apparently you've heard all about me.
I know all about you.
Yeah? What you heard?
I hear that you get your nose into all sorts of trouble.
Well, I wouldn't be the only one in this town now, would I?
You need to leave that ghost alone. It's got nothing to do with you, kid.
Yeah? And who's it got to do with?
Got to do with me and my men. We're going to keep the streets safe.
Yeah?
From scum like that.
Like the ghost. Like a little girl who was burned alive by the exact kind of scum that you're after, right? I got news for you, pal. Like, this city, they got their claws in deeper than you think. I'm pulling all kinds of strings around town. Maybe even yours.
He takes a bite out of the hot dog. He goes, Philip always makes the best hot dogs. Hey, what do you want?
If you're offering, I'll take one with the works.
Sure, I'll buy you a dog. That's what you want for your last meal?
Every day could be my last meal, pal. With a one like you, I'd see it coming.
Hey, Philip, give this bum a dog with the works. Good thing. What do you want?
Well, I wanted to speak to the man who runs this crew that I hear is going around shining light in all the dark shadows of LA. That's you, right?
That's right.
Yeah? Now I got to ask, who tells you where to shine that light? Because I'm telling you, friend, it's looking awful dark from where I'm standing.
Comes where the sunshine shine from, kid.
Yep.
If you're going to need to figure something out to get something out of him, I think. He
Yep.
ain't your friend.
No, I know entirely. Yeah. I will figure someone out. And I think I get a 10 even on that. No, just a 9.
Oh, so I get to ask you a question as well. Yay.
Yeah. So I am asking, who's pulling your character's strings? And how could I get Dudley to go after the East Coast vamps?
He's
Or particularly Temperance Goodfellow in particular.
he is being, he says he's a special unit running straight out of City Hall under the mayor's control. And how can you get him to go after Temperance Goodfellow? I think if you give him evidence of something he ain't gonna like hitting kids or that sort of thing. The guy's second generation Irish cop, so he's got a rod of virtue, even if he's a thug.
It wouldn't be enough just to show him that Temperance, the people who are pulling his strings, are vampires as well.
If you could prove that Temperance Goodfellow was pulling the mayor's string, he's likely to go off the. That would be enough.
Great. Does he have a question for Richie?
No, I'm going to hold it because.
Okay.
That's always more fun.
And I am going to use my corruption move.
Yeah.
Eye all seeing to mark corruption. So for 1 point of harm, to have a vision about the situation at hand. And the question I am asking is, where would Dudley find this evidence? If I told, so like, head downtown at 12 o'clock and you'll see all the thing that I'm asking for. That kind of thing, basically. Like I'm totally abusing my moves here, but
So which move again you are using? Which one?
Eye all seeing, mark corruption and stuff for 1 harm to have a vision about the situation at hand. Ask the MC a question and they will answer honestly.
I think that's a fair use to me. So suffering that harm. You suggested if he and his guys rough or sort of check something out in the back room of Pastor Bright's church, they're going to find something that will sort this whole thing out.
Well, listen, I see where you're coming from, and you ain't got no reason to trust someone like me. But I'm telling you, someone who you do trust, someone's playing you. And all you got to do is you got to look with your own eyes. You head back to the pastor's back room, you'll see I'm on the level. There's a man named Temperance Goodfellow. Well, I say he's a man. He ain't really a man. He's one of those things. And he's the big daddy thing. He come out from east, and he's here to suck all of us dry. You're just going to be the last meal after he's got you to clean his plate for him first.
Okay. Yeah. Brushes a bit of something off your jacket lapel. He goes, "You got mustard on yourself."
Yeah, I'm always
Tell you what, Richie. I'll check this out. And then we'll have a nice little drink at Finnegan's, right?
Sounds good to
We'll have
me.
a nice little drink, and if you're right, then so we can sort something out. If you're leading me on a merry dance, you from Irish stock, Richie?
I think there was someone way back when, but I'm a bit of a mutt.
You heard the song Finnegan's Wake, Richie?
Oh yeah, trust me, I do my drinking in all the right places.
Might be singing that as you're leading me on a goose chase, Richie.
Yep, I hear you. I hear you. But I may not like what you do, and I may disagree with who you hit up. But I reckon that I'll take you over any of these goddamn bloodsuckers any day.
Careful now, Richie. You'll be asking me to marry you next. And he walks away, budging your shoulder as he moves.
Okay.
And at that point, I'd like just to take a 5-minute break, if that's all right with everyone. And then
Sure.
we'll come back to the. We'll see. We'll come back to Ruby and then to the docks, I think. So, as we fade Cole Porter down, let's find out where Ruby Chance has located herself. Oh, Ruby, Caroline, can you hear me?
Yep. Sorry, I only heard
Yeah.
the second half of what you were saying, so I didn't realise you
yeah.
directed that at me.
Where do we find Ruby Chance? Where is she secreted herself?
I think she has disappeared. Being a creature of habit, she has disappeared back to her office, since getting drunk and hiding from things doesn't seem to be an option, and is trying to work out who she's got, who she can get out, who is probably on the chopping block if Mr. Nobody starts calling things in, and trying to weigh up what who can be saved and who can't be, because that red telephone's going to ring. And yeah, also probably, I think once she's done that, probably do. I think people are saying hit streets or whatever is a rumor gathering thing. So yeah, probably heading down to one of the bars, trying to listen out for any more weird stories about Blanche, because she still needs to do something about Blanche, and she's not even sure where to start.
Okay, so before we do that, let's hit the when you get back to the office and you look at the red phone forebodingly, and then you can hear his voice and turn around and see his vicious Cheshire cat grin. Says, "Watch
He's in
pots.
the chair, isn't he?
Yeah, watch pots never boil, Miss Chance."
Sir?
Sir? Ow. Ruby. So formal. He stands and goes over to your wrecked drinks cabinet, fishes through the rubble and picks out an undamaged bottle of bourbon. You mind if I pour us both a drink?
You my guest?
Rumor has it that you're traveling around town with some interesting fellows, Ruby.
Well, now, if I'm going to make sure the little oracle doesn't get eaten up by the Black Widow, least I can do is make sure he's in my pocket.
That's a interesting thing. And he then puts the drink into your hand, but holds your fingers tightly. And did you think making a deal with the East Coast and the Puritans, do you think that was a good idea, Ruby?
They're coming in anyway. If we can charge them for it on the way, may as well.
I see through your little commercial acumen. It's not just balance books for you, Ruby. What were you trying to get out of it? Tell me the truth, Ruby.
You calling it in?
I will call in debt.
Right, let me just mark that while I remember. Well, now, sir, that good fellow chap, he's got some people I might be a little interested in. Him and me are on talking terms, then, I can't be sure, but maybe I can keep tabs on them. I'm always interested in futures for people, careers. You know how it is. Can't do that if I'm not talking to him now, can I?
Good. They must succeed, Ruby.
What's going to happen when they do?
New orders, slightly different city. Game changes.
Better city
Seasons
for
of-
our kind?
You'll have a bigger opportunity, Ruby.
Sounds intriguing.
And if you please me, I can take the name of that other little thing down by the docks that travels with you. I can have his name taken off the blacklist.
What did you do to get on it, do you know?
He is kind aren't welcome here anymore. Clear up the city, sparkling American dream. No place for the freaks. And
We are the
queers.
freaks. How
No,
far
we
is
are
freak
not.
gonna go?
We are rebranding. We are the American dream, Rudy. We are Hollywood.
The American dream comes with pitchforks these days. Alas.
The American folk has always been driven by pitchforks since the
That's
point
true.
where they sailed off into the distance.
This is true. This is true.
If you serve me on this one, Ruby, I'll forgive a lot. I'll forgive that you lie to me about the little girls that you send away. I'll forgive that sometimes the people I want, you don't give them to me. And all you have to do is betray them along the way. He finishes his drink. Thank you for the drink, Ruby. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Do you want to ask him about Richie at the time?
Oh, actually, one thing.
Yes.
Richie. What would you say if I said I could set up a deal with you? Not a deal, but a meeting with him. You'd have a little chat with him one-on-one. Interesting little fellow, the Oracle.
What does he want?
He's mostly drunk and halfway through a game. He's not going to come at you punching.
Are we going to make him famous, Ruby? Will we make his dreams come true?
You could certainly try offering that to him. Better than Burnham. What would you say? Worth setting up the deal?
The self-proclaimed patron heart. So as patron saint of broken hearts, I would enjoy meeting him.
Well, won't cost you too much.
Send him to the club in Beverly Hills.
Sure. And she's trying to imply they're knocking off another debt. This isn't one of her people. She's setting it up as a deal. Is he taking it?
Are you saying that you've done enough to erase a debt on him?
So he
didn't ask you. You offered it.
I've offered it, but I'm saying, is he after it? But no, it's fine either way. I'm just seeing what I could do on it.
No, I think in this instance, it's too small a favor. You need to offer him something
Juicier.
You need to offer him an upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do that? I'll take so you can pay a debt off.
Feel free to throw Richie under the bus. Go for it.
I think Richie's throwing himself under the bus enough anyway. I'm not going to give the boss a good start. I'm trying to give it. I know you don't want fame. I'm trying to pull the P.T. Barnum thing out of set him on the wrong foot for you. But To be honest, Richie wanted the deal, the meeting, and he's counted off a debt for his side of it. So it was going to be cheeky anyway, but it was worth a try.
It's just whether you were cruel enough to betray Richie for giving him what he wanted. Never mind. Mr. Nobody goes, "Oh, don't worry, I won't eat your pet." And he walks away. Let's cut to the waterfront for Lee and probably Rose. What has Lee been up to?
Yeah, so I think Lee is once again trying to get on the trail of Nightshade. He's going to be sniffing him out amongst the crowds on the waterfront.
So, are you bloodhounding, or are you hitting the streets?
I'm going to go for Bloodhound again. See if it works any better this time. It does. That's a 13 in total.
Okay. Good. So it's quite late now, and some of the store. Well, this place never really shuts down, but the lights are still going. There's just less voices. The music is still Wurlitzering out, and you spot the gentleman in the fine white suit and the boater eating a toffee apple, looking at a clearly drunken sailor who his arm is draped over his drunken shipmate a little too revealingly. He hasn't spotted you.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that Richie. Yeah, sorry, that I'm doing it now. I think that Lee is going to just going to walk up quietly behind Nightshade and say, well, good evening there, sir. I hope you're enjoying the view.
His head turns round with a snap. Not the rest of him, it just sort of snips, and it's looking at you, and he blinks. His eyes are black when he blinks. Well, hello. Fancy seeing you here.
Well, indeed. I was wondering if you might fancy a promenade.
Well, we could. Would you mind if perhaps my sister was to join us?
Well, I suppose if she wants to join us, then it would be impolite of me to stop her.
Oh, so well mannered. It's wonderful to see Southern manners. What do you want, Lee? We can promenade. We could have a fight. We're not going away. The balance is shifting. This is our place now. Take your people. Go somewhere else. The city isn't for you.
Well, thing is, seems like nowhere I go's the right place for us, so I just gotta carve out a little patch wherever I go.
Didn't you hear the mayor and the preacher? We don't want the queers around here anymore. This isn't the sissy town. Go away. I'm going to give, as he's thinking about that, Rose can enter the scene if she so desires.
Hello. So, I assume I've just been able to figure out where Lee is using my tracking senses.
Yeah.
And they're just on the waterfront, right?
Yeah, there's people around, but not a vast number.
But I can just walk up to them. There's no like barrier between me and doing that, yeah?
There's no barrier towards you doing that. I had the feeling that Lee was just building up to something though at that point. So how does Lee react to this rather obnoxious shit using offensive language?
Yeah. That was clever of you, though, to get around our little arrangement like that. Send your people out to mess with mine. I got to take my hat off to you. But like I said, I try and keep to my manners as best I can. And I like to think of myself as a man of my word. I ain't gonna lay a hand on you, Nightshade, but you really shouldn't do what you're doing. And at that, Lee is going to pull out a gun and shoot him.
Okay, that sounds like you are trying to unleash an attack.
Yes, I certainly am. That's only a 4 on the dice, but I am adding 3 to that at the minute because I'm also with a +1 from Bloodhound. So gives me a 7 in total.
Okay, so the shot hits them, and you choose either you find yourself in a bad spot or they inflict harm on you.
I think that he probably gets a chance to inflict harm on me. That seems fair.
Okay, so have we got the damage for that pistol?
I think it's 2 for the pistol.
Okay.
It's like a little one of those like detective specials with a little snub nose.
Sure. It sort of goes bang into him at short range. Impacts into him. He looks down and really angry, and then he goes to, as he slaps you can see the fingers come out really sharp claws, and the maul drops down, and he looks really fucking angry. He says, "I'm gonna eat your skull and wear you like a cape."
I'm sorry, gentlemen. Am I interrupting something?
He spins around. Oh, I see how it is. Can't finish me yourself.
Are you speaking to me or to Lee?
He was talking to Lee at that point, but debasing you. He says, "You can't sort me yourself. You got to bring a little girl to figure out your problems, werewolf."
Little girl, is it?
Well, I didn't invite her along, but That's the thing. You make friends, people get your back.
Indeed, they do. And you haven't really made friends, which means that I'm more interested in your neck.
This point. What are you doing then, as you've said that to him, Rose?
I was going to see how he reacted before moving forward, but I can decide on something else.
So his reaction to that is the neon lights around here start glowing really bright, and his eyes are flickering with electricity.
Can I feed on him or only on humans?
It's a corruption move to be able to feed on something else, so no, you'd have to defeat him with violence.
I don't think I have any weaponry, do I? Wait, maybe I do. Gear. I keep scrolling past it by accident. Apologies. I have a Walther PPK.
Well, that will be a some form of
pistol.
automatic pistol. Yeah.
James Bond's pistol.
I don't think they exist in 1951, mind you. So, but it's just it's an automatic pistol.
So I think I'll pull out my gun as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just say I think you're going to want to tone that down, bud. All the glowing eyes and whatnot. We are right on the boardwalk. You wouldn't want to call any undue attention, would you?
He curses something in Irish Gaelic and winks away. There's just sort of like an two-dimensional after image flickering, and then he's gone.
Damn it. Lee, we have some work to do.
Yeah. Don't plan on letting any of them get away with this.
Nor I. I have already missed far too many social engagements handling this whole mess. I think we need to find Richie.
Sure thing.
There's enough room in this town for us and them, don't you think?
I think you're right. All these people pushing in, causing trouble.
Everything was fine up until a few weeks ago. Ever since Blanche died, things have been going amiss. It's getting in the way of my snacking.
Yeah, and these new folk have something to do with it.
They do. I have a particular interest in bother. Just looked it up. Already forgotten again. Oh, in Nightshade. A particular interest in Nightshade myself, but we'll get to that later. Right now, we need to head towards Richie. I think it's time that we get our allies in order and we take this city back. You know where he is?
I don't know, but I can see if I can find him.
I think between the two of us, we can follow our noses, if you catch my drift.
Sure thing.
And I would like to, this is sort of out of the moment, but I never did take that opening move, the web.
Sure.
I would like to take it on Mr. Nobody, who's in my debt. and therefore in my web, as far as I know.
Sure.
And it's to take. Learn a secret about them that they'd rather keep buried. So I'd like to learn a secret about Mr. Nobody that he'd rather keep buried, just to have in my back pocket. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask for the specifics, but or if it's just what David gives me as GM. But
so I think one of the secrets that you know is actually the East Coast vampires hold a debt over Mr. Nobody.
Very good and useful information. Thank you. I also am noting to myself that when someone is in my web, I get the following: dealing with them, get +1 on going to lend a hand or get in the way, and I can add a question to figuring them out. So I just like to state that because when I say things out loud, I remember them more.
Okay.
Anyway, back to Lee. Lee, shall we away? Let's get these pistols back in our bag before we draw any more attention. And I'm going to let you lead the way towards Richie.
Sure thing. Yeah.
Right, I'm going to cut across to Ruby.
So Ruby is going to get in touch with Richie. He can usually be found in certain bars. It's not difficult to track Richie down, particularly since he wants to know where this meetup is. So I assume they will have arranged some sort of way of getting back in touch anyway. And yes, she will pass on the rendezvous that Mr. Nobody gave, which I can't remember. It was a Beverly Hills club of some sort, wasn't it?
Yep. Richie says thanks, and he looks quiet for a minute, and then he grabs the bottle on the table, pours out a drink for you, and says, "You know, Ruby, this is a town of dirty deals, broken dreams. A lot of shit goes down here, right? But you know, I always admire the way you keep your word. You keep to the contract. Not everybody here does that, right? Now I
do what I can with it.
I gotta be frank. You scare the hell out of me. A lot of people here scare the hell out of me. Even that
You
kid
keep
Lee
going.
scares me sometimes, you know?
Oh, he's red in tooth and claw.
Yeah. I mean, I scare myself sometimes.
Here's the thing. He is going to try and make a deal with you. He will literally have your soul on a contract.
Yeah. Well, maybe I already promised my soul to something else.
I don't wish that on anyone. He's got plans.
What would you do to be free, Ruby?
You don't want to know that, do you?
And I'm trying to trigger the drama move, share a moment of intimacy with another person, so I can gain a specific vision about Ruby's future. And so I can fill up my corruption tracker by marking 3 questions about it.
Is there a roll on that?
No, it's just straight up. Caroline can, however, look at her drama move for intimacy. And
where would I?
You find a drama move on the first page, in the middle.
Sorry. Just, where's my bloody thing gone? Drama moves. Intimacy. When you share a moment of intimacy, physical or emotional, with somebody, they give you a debt they hold on someone else.
Sadly, Richie holds no debts on anyone because he's been cashing every single one he gets in to manipulate things further. So debts are only held on Richie, not the other way around.
Yeah. It's fine. It's worth knowing, but I hadn't clocked that.
But you do
Let's
get
see.
to mark my faction if you haven't already.
Oh right, good point.
Power.
Which is because I
I'm
think
power.
everything's your power, aren't you? Richie, you don't want to know the sort of things I do to try and get free. Understand, I've been at this a long time, and every time I think I've wriggled, he gets something else on me. And yeah, he says it himself. I could have got clear a long time ago if I'd just been willing to throw a few more people in front of the bus.
So, on the intimacy move that you've just pulled from the Oracle, you the faces on Ruby's wall have changed. People she's representing are different. The cigarette smoke in the air, it's thicker. She's not aged, but you can see the calendar on her desk says 1983. Ruby ain't going anywhere. She ain't ever getting out.
So I get to mark corruption to ask 3 questions about the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Does Ruby still work for Mr. Nobody?
Yep.
Still works for Mr. Nobody. Does she still help people escape?
No.
Okay, and what's the last question? Does this Ruby use the blacklist?
Was it the 1983 one?
Yeah. Or maybe would this Ruby use the blacklist? If does is maybe too definite a question for the game as it's supposed to play out.
I'm going to let Caroline answer that from the answer of my other 2 questions. 1980, she's just got one more deal.
Oh. Yeah, I think at the point when she's no longer letting people escape, she is using that blacklist to just try to get that last step free. But that's a different Ruby.
Cool. Richie comes back to himself and looks at you with, for a moment of like complete sadness, blinks away, looks to the other side, blinks away, pours another drink and goes,
Told you didn't want to know.
yeah.
At least I know. I only know one mistake at a time.
No,
Hey, Richie.
one day you'll be free, Ruby. I promise.
Yeah. And great armies are lost.
Yeah.
Beware oracles. Richie, you want to know a thing for free?
Sure.
Just because I don't want you going in there and making deals for things that are known.
Yeah.
He wants Goodfella to win. I help him on this?
Yeah.
Lee gets off the blacklist.
Well.
But the blacklist itself survives if I do. So who'd you push under the bus? The rest of the list? Or one guy?
I think even if you save Lee's life, he'll come right after you if his people get hurt.
Yeah.
And Richie will again look over at Ruby and I'll say, "Hey, there's one thing I did see. Mr. Nobody? He ain't going to be around as long as you." And I'm making a false prophecy to mark another corruption on my list.
Kid, that just means the horns change.
Yes. And I am... I have done everything I want in this scene. It's up to Ruby how long she wants to carry on with it. I'm happy to draw a veil and move on.
Oh.
Cool. It's great.
You want
Do
someone
feel
to
free.
walk you up to that chap? I don't think it's worth him seeing me there, but
No, it's okay, Ruby. I got eyes in the back of my head.
yeah. Well, you call on me if you need me. I have a way of hearing when my name's being called. Well,
So
when this name's being called.
Cool.
So don't forget to choose your corruption move if you've tracked it out.
Yep.
And I think it's likely because they were tracking you. As you leave the bar, you spot or are spotted by the gang's all here. Okay, so everyone is now facing the or just outside.
Okay, so I'm still in the bar with the drink. You two have met him just on the
I think you're
threshold?
there with a drink. I think you see out the threshold. I think I'll tell you what. We'll draw a few things together. The bar you're in is Finnegan's, and just as Richie's looking to leave, few people arrive at the same time. You get Dudley arriving, you get Rose arriving, and you get Lee arriving. And Richie is standing at the threshold with the devil at his back and enemies at the gates. What's everyone doing?
Everybody wants to see me.
Stop having office hours.
I mean, I'd like to go up to Richie, but if we're also having Officer Dudley and other people approach, I don't know if is the opportunity to just start talking to him there. Or do we need to deal with? Okay,
It's not Dudley. Dudley sort of sees Richie and walks past and says, "You are right, kid," and heads to the bar and orders himself a big bourbon.
Hey, Richie, darling.
Hey, Rose. Long time no see.
Too long, I think, old friend.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been up to?
Oh, staying alive, staying one step ahead of things that want to eat me.
Good on you. Hard enough in this town.
Yeah.
Lee and I need to talk to you about something. You got a minute?
For my two favorite creatures of the night, sure.
What the hell's that asshole doing here?
Hey, Lee, I'd keep it under wraps for now. That asshole, well, he might be shitting all over something that we want to get covered in shit. You know what I mean?
Gentlemen.
Sorry, I apologize for the language.
It's quite all right. I've heard some things in my time, but if we're going to discuss people, let's stay out of earshot, shall we?
Yeah, Lee, hey, look. Ruby's over there having a drink. Shall we join her again? Be rude not to, right?
I think we should. Can you give us a minute first?
Okay. Come on.
Just, quick.
Ruby, as you spot Dudley walk up to the bar, you are the only one who can see it, but the red circle and mark on the forehead of someone who is in the employ of Mr. Nobody is clear.
Okay. Thought you meant it was a sniper mark there for a minute, but no, it's just literally a mark of the devil.
It is a circle there, as
Okay.
if someone had literally taken water and anointed him, but not the good sort of water.
Do I see the same on myself in a mirror?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's different on you. It's more powerful and primal. He's just under its sway rather than.
Mm-hmm. You paying me any attention?
Nope, he's not. No, he's not. But
Just bearing in mind how the opening stuff went.
no,
Would said he had particular interest in me.
not at this point. I think.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll draw that out as is necessary. His interest in you is fundamentally that he's not working for himself. He's working for someone else.
Okay.
Because it doesn't need to be violence. It just needs to be something that is evil.
Okay. Just like me. Okay.
So, Rose, you wanted to say something?
Muted.
Yeah. Apologies. Cat had my tongue for a moment. What are your feelings on Nightshade d'Inverno?
I mean, he's some fey fuck from ass end of Ireland. Who gives a shit?
I do, as it happens. And I think my friend Lee here, who you're also acquainted with, might have some thoughts as well. Lee?
I shot him, but he disappeared before I could finish the job.
Now, if only there was something else that someone I knew could do about that. Someone who might have something a bit more effective than guns and bullets. I mean, I can't think of anybody in this whole town who might be able to tear somebody limb from limb.
Well, that was sort of my thought. A bit of tearing limb from limb, a bit of snacking. But he did disappear, and we were previous to that right on the boardwalk, and it just wasn't the right place for, a good throat ripping out or any of those sorts of things.
Right. So you want me to find him, right? You want me to do the wim-wham, do the hoodoo, find this Nightshade guy fuse, right?
I think the three of us should work together because I think this Nightshade fellow is not doing anything good for any of us. But also, well, let's just say I've taken on something on your behalf. That is gonna. That means I need to be looking into this situation, and I'd hate to have to, transfer that situation back to you. I don't think you would have been too pleased.
Listen, if you're coming to me for a favor, then fine. You've got it. No questions asked.
Perfect. So you, me, Lee, Nightshade. Can we get this done?
I got too many, what's it called? In the fire? What's the phrase? I forgot.
Irons.
I got too many irons in the fire already, and I'm about to get burned. But I can do this for you right now, right here. Right? I can tell you. You know what I can do. And Lee, I'm sorry, pal, but this is going to cost you too. Yeah? This don't come easy for me, and I'm running low. I'm running all around town trying to do this. So I need... Yeah? We're going to be... So Richie will use his move to tell you where Nightshade is going to be vulnerable. Yeah? So that you guys can take him down in the perfect spot to be thingy. And it will cost me because I'm going to use my corruption move again to ask David that and take a vision. And yes, I do owe Pearl 2 debts. I would cancel one of those debts with by doing the favor. And my idea is I would... I don't owe the debt to Lee. I'm doing a favor for Lee as well in this case. So I would cancel one of my debts to Lee as well. Or I would take a debt on Lee, in fact. I would prefer that. And so, yes, I've marked my corruption. I've taken my my harm. Richie's not looking too good these days. He's looking very very pale and drawn. The spirits are taking their toll on him. But yeah, he reaches out with his senses and he asks for, where can a vamp and a wolf take down Nightshade?
There is a vision of a ship just on the edge of international waters. On board the ship, there are people playing craps and gambling, and a bandaged Nightshade complaining to someone who looks almost identical to him, but she's female. The rest of your questions, or are you just doing the one?
It's just the one. I don't think I get. It's just the one question with this move.
Oh, right, okay,
yeah.
sure.
And I think that Richie will tell them that, and he will say that he will explain that where it is, but he'll also drop in that you got to kill the sister too, or else this all goes to shit for you. And again, he will tell a false vision about prophecy to mark another corruption on his tracker, and to maybe get them to take care of a debt that's held on him.
I would like to use figure someone out
Mm-hmm.
on Richie. And just check this to make sure I have it right. I can add a question, what is your character's true hunger? When I do it, I don't know if I want to. I'm just reminding myself of what's possible. So yeah, to figure someone out, I roll
With mind.
with mind. That's right. Okay, one moment. Bother. Sorry, I accidentally closed the roll for your party tab. Reopening. All right. Oh, I failed. Alas. At least I think I did. I have all these things that add if you're in my debt or you're this, that, or the other thing. But
I think it's a +1 at best.
Yeah, I don't think I have enough to do anything more than that. And I assume that nobody can lend me a hand, given that this is not a physical movement or anything. So,
No.
all right, failed.
I think Richie is inscrutable at this moment in time. He's driven and he's definitely full up of something, but he's keeping his cards close to his chest. Which is the first time Richie's ever played cards well.
All right, then. No time to waste. The city grows darker, and not in the ways that I enjoy every minute. Lee, do you think we have enough information?
Yeah, I guess we're going to need us a boat if we're going to get out to him.
I'll call someone. It shouldn't be a problem. Or I'll have Mags call someone more accurately. Meanwhile, Richie, just so you know, there's a mark been taken off of you. So I hope you're not doing anything to jeopardize my endeavors, because I'd hate to see that mark get put back if I fail.
What? Who's got a mark on me? It ain't Obi
Nope.
Summers. I mean, Obi Summers? Is that the guy?
Was that the guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. Lee, I told you to tell him that I told you about that thing. You didn't get my back on that, man. God damn.
I'm just letting you know. I took that on. I'm going to take on Nightshade.
Yeah, well, you're a good friend, Rose, unlike this mutt here. God damn.
You know this town. Everyone's out to get what they can.
The situation was kind of fraught. I'm sorry. I'm sure I mentioned that you told me you told me, Richie, but I was too busy tussling with your friend in there. And he nods at Lieutenant Dudley.
Yeah, well, Rose, thank you. You're a friend. You're a lady. You're a gent. Lee, goddamn,
The dame, my dear.
a dame. Yeah.
But
Lee, I don't know what to say.
there's no time, gentlemen. There's no time. I'm just letting you know. If for some reason you're telling us anything wrong about how we deal with this situation, if harm comes to me, I'm pretty sure that mark goes back to you. So,
Hey, listen, I never told you it was going to be easy. I told you where you could kill this guy, and I told you the best way to do it. If you get hurt, that ain't on me. You
I'm
kill
not saying
somebody,
it is. I'm
kill
saying,
somebody, it's going to come back on you. You know that.
of course it is. Of course it
Yeah?
is. I'm
And what do you
saying
think
that
helping you is going to do?
if you were to give me false information
Yeah, I told
and
you
it led to
exactly.
my being killed, just so you know, that mark's going to transfer back to you. I'm
Yeah,
believing you and I'm going to act on it. This is my warning to you as a friend, much as I took your mark on as a friend.
I told you.
All right. Lee, I think we got some work to do. You going to stay here, Richie?
I got a man to see.
Anything we should be knowing about?
Don't worry yourself. You got big problems to deal with anyways.
All right. I'm going to lean in towards Richie and just take a nice big inhale. You smell really good today. If only I had time for a snack and didn't count you among my friends. But some other day, perhaps. Lee,
Hey.
let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Caroline, you muted again. I think.
Right.
I think you're
Yep.
trying to talk there.
Hey, Richie, before you go.
Yep.
So on an out of character basis, calling me in only works if I owe you.
So ask me for a favor.
So it is. Hey, she gives you a folded napkin. I need you to give this back to me later. Until you do, I'm going to owe you a favor.
Okay. If that's how you want to play it. If you want to arbitrarily give me a favor, I'm more than happy to take it. Yep.
And hopefully he's got the sense to realize that this is some weird demon shit. And it is that look of I'm helping you out here and I can't explain why sort of thing. But she has previous.
You could try to figure her out if you want, Richie.
Sure, I will do. I get a 9.
So you can ask a question or 2 questions of
what's my
her,
character
but you can
hoping
ask
to
her.
get from handing me this envelope, which is that you be my debt and that I could call you.
Yeah, basically, unless she's in your debt, that whole call for me it's just going to be calling out a name in a room. It's going to do nothing. Because you've got that on her. When she says, I'll hear you, I'll turn up. Yeah, that she's basically given you a supernatural calling card, and it's very nominal. You can give that back to her anytime. It's just, but that the need to have that imbalance of power is there, and she's playing it. She's playing it obviously to look out for you, which is a really fucked up way of doing it.
Yeah. How could I get your character to turn on Mr. No? How could I get your character to help me get the blacklist?
Give her an angle and give her a safety net. She doesn't want it. She's not happy with this either. She is bound up tight, but she doesn't want this city changing. She doesn't want the queers run out of town and these other guys in here. She's just wheeling and dealing and playing people off each other to desperately dodge from one thing to the next.
Well, I know a very good-looking wizard who might be able to help on that regard.
But yeah, she is obviously, if she could get away with stabbing Mr. Nobody in the back without him seeing her coming, she probably would.
Okay.
But he owes her, and debts are debts. She owes him, and debts are debts. At the moment, she can't.
Do you
All
want to
she
ask
can-
me a question? You've got who's pulling your character string, what's your character's beef with, what's your character hoping to get from, how could I get your character to, what does your character worry might happen, and how could I put your character in my debt?
Who's pulling his strings? Other than bleeding hearts. He's owing debt to everybody. Which is the debt he is willingly going along with, and which are the enforced ones? Other than the napkin, because they both know that that's a very nominal debt.
I mean, for all the lies, for all the maneuvering, for all the manipulation, the person that the debt that pulls his strings is the debt to Lee, because that kid doesn't deserve to die, and not like that. And Richie's whole motivation is to stop the horrible things that he sees just once. Just once,
Yeah.
he wants to stop it.
Okay.
So let's draw the veil on that scene.
Yeah.
And
So just one thing. I don't know how much Lee might have overheard and gathered from that himself, because he also holds a debt over Ruby.
I'm going to say they have left
that's fine.
the scene by this point. They can still choose to expend it.
Yeah, no, it's more when they're
name.
actually aware of how it works. I see.
Yeah, but no, they've left for a boat to
Okay.
pick up with them. Okay. I don't think you would have necessarily been broadcasting that across a noisy bar. So let's cut to the fact you've already got the boat and you are pulling up alongside the casino boat in international waters. So that is for Rose and for Lee.
So, is it docked then?
Yeah. Well, you've pulled up alongside of it, yes, yeah.
Or rather, like docked in such a way that we could get on, or do we need to?
Well, it's anchored, yeah.
Okay.
It's in international waters, so they can do gambling.
Right. I'm surprised Richie didn't want to come. All right, Lee. No time like the present. How close is it to nighttime?
You can wait till nighttime, but it was coming up to dawn when we left that scene.
Oh, shoot. I had my times of day mixed up, sorry. I was thinking about certain wolf powers that might come in handy and whether they would be available. But they won't be then?
Well, it's coming up to dawn, but it's still not. It's not. The sun has not yet risen.
All right. So, Lee, I think there's no time to waste, given the circumstances. Give me your arm, escort a lady.
Sure thing. Yeah, and I'll assist Rose onto the boat.
Okay. There are so various launches on the boat. Some of them are starting to make their way back to the mainland, because, I say, it is not far from. It's not far from dawn, but it is still night, just about. So, standing on the deck of the ship, you go down to. You can still hear the band playing and music and noise below. Not at all uncommon at the time, because gambling is illegal in the city. Those who can afford it come out into international water to play every sort of game. Lee, what do you want to do?
Yeah. I guess I'll go with standard operating procedure. I'm going to just try and sniff Nightshade out, find where he is on the boat. Catch a trail of his scent.
I don't think that's going to be hard for you to do. You're here. You've tracked him previously, so we won't roll for that. We'll just carry him down. You can literally step down the steps into the. This was a long, would have been converted sort of cargo ship, probably for moving coal around, but it is full of dancers, sort of craps tables with people playing blackjack, poker, you name it, it's here. And there's a bar and a raised dais where you can see pretty much almost exactly how Richie describes it. Nightshade and his sister having a heated discussion. They ain't seen you. You're on the other side of the floor.
Lee, I don't think our best bet is to take them on at the same time in the middle of the dance floor. So we're going to need to find a way to get Nightshade to come with us. You got any ideas?
I reckon if he catches a sight of us, he's just going to start something. We're on his turf here.
I don't know if what he starts is what we're going to want on his turf or otherwise, because he seems to have the obnoxious ability to just disappear into thin air. So we're going to have to catch him unawares. You got any ideas on how to bind a Fae to one spot so they can't, just wink out of existence if we tie him up or whatever else we need to do?
I figure I'll just try and get in there fast and slit his throat before he sees us coming.
In the middle of this boat with all these people.
I can be pretty fast.
I mean, if that's what you want, can you leave his head intact for me?
I can certainly try.
It would be helpful. See if there's something else I can do here. I want to do something. I really have no corruption. Usually when I play Urban Shadows, I have a ton of corruption. Did I forget to mark them? It's bizarre. Anyway, sorry. Just looking at moves I can take that might help in this situation. Can I? Maybe it wouldn't work because I have a skill to persuade an NPC using promises or seduction. And I'm thinking if I can persuade him to come into a back room a little bit more out of the public eye, and Lee could be waiting. That might be a little bit less hazardous than just jumping out into the middle of nowhere. Not middle of nowhere, but in the middle of this public situation and gutting him, as it were.
Sure.
But the question is, could I go dance with him without him disappearing? I'm hoping that he, like me, will not want to reveal things in front of other people. Does that seem like a reasonable, at least, assumption to try to make? That maybe, of course, be wrong, but something I would think?
Sure.
All right. So I'm going to go up and try to dance with him. And I'll be using seduction, not promises, because I don't think he wants any promises from me. But I am a Hollywood starlet, and I like to think I've got some moves up my sleeve. I'm generally found to be pretty desirable. So I'm going to waltz up to him, and I'd like to start over. I think we got off on the wrong foot the other day on the dock, or earlier today on the dock. Things have been really heated in the city lately, and tempers are running almost as high as the temperature. But maybe we could get a better start. Dance with me?
His sister sort of gazes at him and then looks at you. So would you like to make a irresistible move?
Yeah. And so I roll there. I don't think with anything extra, right? Just roll.
You're putting a persuade in an NPC move, but it's a special version on it. So the persuade an NPC roll with heart.
Heart. I don't think I have any heart. Oh, I do. Oh, with one. All right. That's another failed roll. Unless anybody wants to lend me a hand.
I don't think there's any reasonable way that anyone can lend you a hand.
No.
So on a failed roll, you still treat it as a 7 to 9, though.
Oh, that's right. Should learn my own moves better. All right. So they succeed as though I rolled a 7 to 9, but attract the attention of a rival or enemy. And if I had rolled a 7 to 9, I treat it as a 10 plus. So I get a full success, but also I attract the attention of a rival or enemy. Yeah?
What did you roll? Sorry, you rolled a overall?
Now it says 5, but I thought it had said 6, which is weird.
What's your heart?
Oh, that's why I thought it was 6.
Yeah.
So 6 with heart.
So you treat it as a 7 to 9 then. So that would be.
It's just odd because it says treat a 7 to 9 as a 10 plus in the move, but I assume that means treat a natural 7 to 9 as a 10 plus. Okay. All right. So trying to use my book because I'm excited that I have it, but I should probably just use the move sheet. But since I don't have that out, I'm going to use the book. I will write down an index for myself. Here we go. Persuade an NPC. 7 to 9. They modify the terms or demand a debt. All right. So
he says, I think he modifies terms. He said,
sorry, my dog.
He said, I'll of course, I'll be willing to dance with you. But if you do try to get him to leave the scene, he will insist upon his sister coming with him.
Okay. Well, that was my my actual persuade was going to be to get him to come and dance with me elsewhere. The sort of starting to dance was just the preamble. The persuade was going to be, could we get to a more private room so we could dance and talk?
His response to negotiate on the debt, that he said, I never discuss business without my sister.
Oh, well, that's very sweet of you. Is there somewhere the three of us could go? And I'm
certainly
trying to catch Lee's eye to let him know that he should be paying attention to where we're going.
So you see them exiting the scene. What is the room? What is Lee's intention here?
Lee?
Yeah, he's going to stalk them, find out where they are. And once they're out of public view, is going to kick in the door and start something. No, and hopefully finish something.
Cool. Okay.
Sorry.
So I'm gonna come back to that in a minute, and we will do violence and dismemberment. Let's cut across to Lee. That's Lee. Richie. Have a reverse Lee. Richie.
Yeah.
To Richie.
So, Richie has a very bad and chaotic plan, but it's probably not the best plan in the world. But he's going to. I'm metagamingly half doing it to try and keep other characters involved in the plan as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that Richie's going to do is on his way to meeting Mr. Nobody, is he's going to call in on the power character who owes him a debt, Virginia Mills.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that the basic moves do is give you a worthy and useful gift without cost.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to cash in that debt to get Virginia Mills to send a message to Ruby and to weave magic on her that will shield her from her patron for the next 24 hours. So basically, she'll be a black spot to her patron's senses. Like patron won't know what Ruby's up to during this period, effectively. Is that okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Doesn't free her from her debts, but it will free that he can't mysteriously pop up around her.
Oh yeah, no, this is not freeing her. This is allowing her to behave in ways that are off his radar, effectively.
Cool.
And then I also means I get to mark power, and I've taken my advancement, which I will think about while I'm narrating what I do. And he sends Ruby a message along with that, which is trust me, if you want to save them, this is the way. When I call, you come, do what I say, stay low, stay out of sight. You'll know what I mean when you see it. And then with that in mind, he heads off with the envelope in his pocket that Ruby handed him to go meet Mr. Nobody.
Sure. You arrive at Mr. Nobody's club in Beverly Hills. Like most of what Mr. Nobody's aesthetic is like, it is very clean, very white, very marble, very symmetrical. You are led in by staff to a dining room, which is empty, bar one table at the center, set up where Mr. Nobody is sitting reading a newspaper. And everything here is perfectly symmetrical. Everything is laid out in such a way that every seat, every chair, you can't not a thing which just does not line up. As he sees you come in, he folds the paper perfectly in half and half again, sits it down, and pours 2 perfect glasses of water.
I whistle and look around this place of power, and I only get a 5 on that, so I don't find anything out about this about the moves of the Wild faction. I sit down opposite Mr. Nobody, and I greet him, and I say, for a man named Nobody, you're sure on everybody's lips.
I'm everybody's friend, Richie. Much like you. What's your surname, actually, Richie?
Carver.
Yeah, Carver. So, yes, it will be Mr. Carver, not Richie. He wouldn't be so informal. I could say the same about you. Everyone has a story to tell about Mr. Carver. Mostly bad, sometimes good. You wished to see me.
I did. I wanted to sit down with what I think is fair to say is the real power in LA. The vampires, they're just parasites, sucking off what the mortals produce. But you make deals that last, right? Deals with real stakes.
He reaches over to the center of the table where there are some grapes and cheeses, and he cuts just a perfect corner of one of the pieces of cheese, picks it up and pops it into his mouth. You wished to see me. What do you want? I am intrigued.
I want to know what people like Temperance Goodfellow have got in a guy like you.
When you live forever, Richie, and you don't burn flicker flash bright like mortals like you, there has to be a currency that lasts. Your reputation is the most important thing.
So they made a deal with you. A deal for all the poor little people in this city who don't fit the mold of the silver screen, right?
We're building Babylon again.
Yeah.
From the ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah. I have no
Yeah.
problem with such a thing, but they do. And they pay well.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It's just politics.
Yeah.
What do you want? Diamond car, platinum wheels.
I want to keep. What do I want? And he'll look over at Mr. Nobody, and he will use again his eye all-seeing mark corruption and suffer one harm to have a vision about the situation at hand. And what he wants to know is, where is the blacklist?
You see the blacklist, which is a scroll of vellum made from human skin, and you see an ink pot, and into that ink pot you see drops of blood being added from Goodfellow, Daverno, the sister, and finally a drop of Nobody's blood. The ink swirls and is given quite a unctuous form, and Nobody smiles. It is in a
Can I please, 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 please? I hope that it's somewhere in this building. Like,
no,
damn
it
it!
is in Goodfellow's bureau, back in the back in the hotel you visit him in.
Right. Shit. Well, so much for my my grand plan. Can you cut back to the other guys, because that has thrown a right spanner in Richie's machinations.
Okay. Ruby, anything you want to do before we go back to violence and bloodshed?
No, I think I'm a bit stuffed at the minute. Unless people call me in on something, I'm not actually sure what I can do right now. Yeah, the one other thing I think of just as something to keep a pin in it is that this not yet used summoning power works both ways, and I did specify, and now remember why I did specify, rather than writing out the debts with Goodfellow, it's a debt both ways.
Yeah.
So I can summon myself to his presence.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything to say I can't grab somebody under my arm when I do it.
So,
but that does mean to his presence rather than necessarily his home. So if he's not at home, we just summoned ourselves into the presence of a really fucking powerful vampire.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have it. Does that? I know what to do now. But we'll go back to the other guys.
Yeah.
To keep
cut to the others. Okay, so keep them with them. So Richie.
Lee.
Lee. God. Lee. It's with you.
Yeah. So yes, I guess I'm going to stalk down the corridors with the boat, keeping scenting out where Nightshade and the others are, I will enter the room with a switchblade drawn.
they've sort of taken seats, and Anastasia de Novo's opening a bottle of wine and coming, and Nightshade stands and says, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, and I'm just going to rush him and jab the switchblade in his heart.
Okie dokie. Sounds like quite clearly to me you are trying to unleash attack.
Sure thing. That is a 9 in total.
Can I lend a hand here?
Yes, you could.
Is it worth it? Like, was the 10 that much better than the 9 on this one?
Yeah,
I'm assuming it is.
A 10 is a full hit, so yeah.
Yeah. All right. So to lend a hand,
You roll with their faction, so you're rolling with Knight.
and that gives me what? 1. Okay. So I got a 7.
On
What does that
79, you expose yourself to danger, entanglement, or cost.
Okay. But it moves Lee up to a 10, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to read that he still gets a +1, but it's with an effect on you, which I think is the danger as you expose yourself to attack from Anastasia as you just try to push Nightshade off his balance. So that's a 10 for an initial attack, which means you can.
Yeah, I will choose to inflict terrible harm on him.
So he was wounded before from the knife attack. I think that's enough that you are straight and you're true, and the switchblade goes through his heart. He gurgles blood and spits it in your face and whispers some homophobic obscenity as he passes from this world. However, that still leaves Anastasia, the Winter Queen of this court. You've just killed her brother in front of her on this ship. Her hair goes everywhere as her hands go out, and she looks full on Galadriel, terrifying, and peers at both of you, taking the opportunity at this point. What are you both trying to do?
I'd like to unleash my powers, or
let it out.
Well, that's a mask move. Yeah, let it out. And I don't think there's a description for what that looks like, but I'm gonna ask, in my case, if that means that I can like rip out the throat of someone who isn't human.
No.
What does let it out
let
mean
it out
for
gives
my...
you +1 forward on the next roll. Extend your senses, supernatural, otherwise. Frighten, intimidate, or oppress your opposition, or take definite hold of something vulnerable or exposed.
Okay. I wasn't sure about extending my supernatural whatever, if that meant I could extend it to other people or other creatures, but I'll still take it, take the move, if that's all right. I just pulled up the moves list and then somehow closed it again, which is annoying. Why do I always do that? Let it out. Roll with spirit. On a hit, choose one and march corrupt on 10 plus. The corrupt ignore it or choose another. Okay. Now to refine the move for your party list, because apparently I can only open one window at a time without confusing myself. There it is. All right. That was an 8. And I don't think I have any...
It's with spirit.
I don't think I have any spirit. Do I? Too many tabs. Too many tabs. I do not. So it's an 8.
Okay. So what were you trying to achieve?
I think in this case, if extending my sense of supernatural otherwise won't let me like eat her, frighten, intimidate, or impress my opposition.
Okay, which one? What do you describe it and describe what you're trying to achieve? But you have to take a point of corruption for it because you only had a
Yes.
partial hit. But what is Rose trying to achieve?
I think. I find a stupid window to mark corruption. What have I done with all my windows? I think I'd like to sort of bare my fangs and like give my most looming, menacing look that I would rarely give because I tend to try to play the like pretty Hollywood starlet and stay out of looking so dangerous, but like remind her that I am in fact an old and therefore powerful vampire. So it's not just a werewolf she's dealing with, and to frighten her.
Okay,
And can my eyes turn red or something cool like that?
Yeah,
like, just really stare her down, eyes red, fangs bared.
She does freaky fairy shit. You do freaky vampire shit. You're both sort of transfixed and staring each other down. Lee, whilst they are out hissing and supernatural on each other, what do you do?
Yes. So, assuming this last one counts as a hunt, that will give me enough corruption to take a corruption move.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take finally the move that lets me change into a wolf at will. And I think as Lee is standing there watching the blood pump out of Nightshade, a kind of satisfied grin spreads across his mouth and keeps spreading as he begins twisting and fur coming out of his skin as he transforms into a large wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And he's then going to leap on Anastasia and attempt to rip her throat out.
Okie dokie. So you're going to attack again.
Yep.
Which two are you choosing for your transformation, your wolfy things, by the way?
So my transformation, I have I inflict +1 harm while transformed, so that goes up to 3 harm.
Mm-hmm.
And when battling groups, I fight like a small group.
Okay.
That is, sorry, I've lost the tab as well now. Here we go. That is a 10 in total.
So that's a full hit. So look, we'll keep this nice and tight and clean. Those were the vampire and the Fey Queen were staring at each other. A werewolf erupts full of piss and vinegar and claws. You'd already be able to do significant harm. With the additional harm, that means you're doing 3 damage, so 4. Yeah, that should just be enough just to literally gouge a throat or a face off with a single hit. Do you want to describe the bloodshed that erupts?
Yeah, so I think it is that you just see the wolf sort of uncoiling into a classic pounce, paws on her chest, bearing her down, and ripping out her throat with his jaws. The only other thing I have to do as part of my transformation is I have to keep my cool or declare a hunt.
Roll to keep you cool, or eat the vampire.
I do not keep my cool. I think I am going to declare a hunt against Temperance Goodfellow, which is almost certainly a sensible plan.
Okay. I'm going to cut across. I haven't had to keep up the chat window, but let's hear Richie and Ruby's plan.
So Richie's just going to say to Mr. Nobody, I have one deal for you, and that is I hear you want Blanche gone. I want to hear you want Blanche off the streets. No good for business having a ghost running around town. I can make that happen.
And what would you like in return, Richie?
Well, firstly, I want my friend Lee. I want you to keep those goons stomping around town off his back. That sound like a fair price to you? No one comes down and stamps on his friends' heads.
We'll leave Sunset Boulevard and the waterfronts alone.
Great. Well, consider it done then. I'll get rid of Blanche. And Richie will drink his water and leave.
He stands and bows to you and says, Mr. Carver, you're interesting. I think you're the sort of person who might just do something foolish.
I think you might be right. And then Richie gets back into his car and is speeding down the highway, and he will cash in the debt with... is now a good time to do it? Yeah, there's no better way of getting the drop on Temperance Goodfellow than doing it this way, right? He cashes in his debt with Ruby to summon her to the
moving car.
Yeah.
Yeah,
European.
she just
Yep.
flicks in the passenger seat.
Yep. Richie fills you in on the plan, which is I cut a deal with Power. You are now protected from Mr. Nobody. I know that you don't want that blacklist. You don't want the people on that blacklist. You don't want what happened to Blanche to other people, right? You want those girls safe. You want the deals honored. You want it all right? So
he can't tell what's going on with me at all.
Yes. No. And so my friend Virginia, she gave you a gift, right? You've got it?
So
it happened.
Yeah,
it happened in between.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
So, like, the original plan, not quite what I thought. But turns out Temperance Goodfellow's the guy with the list. Now, we're going to go pay Temperance a visit, right? This voodoo you do, you can get it there?
Now, I owe him one, he owes me one, so yeah, I can. So tell me this. He's a vampire. Do you want to wait till an hour after dawn? Rather than do it right now.
Sunrise is coming soon. I think Temperance is pretty well fed as far as these things go.
He is, but he's still going to be weaker in daylight.
How far away from dawn are we, David?
Not far at all, because we've been playing through the night. So you're probably parallel in time to what's been happening on the ship. So just before dawn.
Yep.
Now here's the other thing. You want to get Lee in?
I
don't know if I can grab your scruffs and take you with me. I've not tried, but if it doesn't work, I'm going to be there on my own looking damn stupid. But
I'm going to get you just to keep an eye. It's 10:30 coming up to folks. You've got half an hour left to play, so we're going to have to play.
So my metagaming idea is that we arrive and we do our big damn heroes moment, and Lee's already on a hunt for Temperance Goodfellow, right? So we do our thing, and narratively we just converge, perhaps, rather than just to. So yeah. So I feel. So the plan is, we're going to arrive at Temperance, and I'm going to lock eyes with him, and Ruby's going to.
So I think before I do that, I'm going to have the sense to go demon first, then we'll go across. Well, actually, no, because you don't. You probably don't want that, do you? You want to go human, lock eyes, and then.
Yeah.
She'll talk you through this. You want the scary version, or you want the non-threatening version while you get his attention?
You only have to go. You go scary if you need to go scary, but maybe we don't have to, and maybe it's probably safer if you don't call upon those dark powers right now.
True, but I can rip his spine out so much easier if I do.
Hey, you do what you got to do. Let's go.
Yep. Okay. So you are going to try and lock eyes with him. So basically what I'm doing is I am writing off where's my freaking debts? So that debt's gone. And the debt that, how does it work?
What are you trying to do? If you tell me what you're trying to do, I can help you.
So I'm trying to get to temperance, and I can do it because invocation. You may cash in a debt with somebody to appear in their presence. So Temperance Goodfellow owed me one for revealing the location of the Black Widow. So I am cancelling that and appearing in his presence with Richie held by the scruff of the neck, pretty much.
I don't think you can transfer Richie with it.
Then I would have just driven to Temperance's place and got my way in, and then summoned Ruby.
Okay, do that. In which case, yeah, you get a napkin again.
Regarding the time frame, look, let's just say you can, right?
Okay.
Let's just say you can. But if it was anything in the final move, I would have not said you could have achieved that.
I wouldn't have rushed this so much if we weren't in the
last
half hour.
We're going cinematic.
It's fine. So you want to appear in Goodfellow's presence, right? Okay.
Yes.
Right. So yes, he's in the apartment. He is Noel Coward is on the stereo on the record player, and you both appear, and he raises an eyebrow at both of you. And now the inevitable betrayal.
And Richie locks eyes with him and says, "Yeah, fair. You know, more like payback. More like payback, pal." And I will use my corruption move that I unlocked this session, Eyes That Burrow. Mark corruption to lock eyes with someone and force them to be still as long as you maintain the gaze.
Okay. What's Ruby doing?
She is calling on the devil inside, which is rolling with blood. Sorry, I'm just trying to bounce. So rolling with blood. So that's 6, that's 7, which is so I get one of the options. So I will take demonic weapon, which is a 3 harm hand, whatever that is.
She is 3 harm, right? You can spend a point of corruption to do take 1 more as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, totally.
So if you do inflict and what an additional
I'll do inflict 1 harm plus 1 harm, and the demonic weapon, which is a 3 harm hand. So that's basically now a 4 harm hand weapon.
However, you have rolled a 7 to 9.
Yes.
No, sorry, you rolled 7 to 9.
That's
fine. That's fine. So it's choose 2. Yeah, and you spend a corruption to have 1 more. Yeah.
Yeah. So
if you failed, you'd have Patreon had gained a debt, so you would have known what was at stake.
Yes. But it didn't. So I am on a +4 weapon to, which I think probably appropriately enough is something like a pitchfork or something, and just taking a very much a swing at Goodfellow, while Richie pins him. And hoping to hell that is enough.
You sound like you are. He's already pinned and held, so I think if you roll Let It Out and take definite hold of something vulnerable or exposed.
Right. How does roll Let It Out work? Sorry.
You roll with spirit.
Roll with spirit. Spirit is 1. Boom. Oh, that's a 3 plus 1's 4. That's no good. So, anything I can do to bump that? More corruption?
No, your blow hits, wounds, almost goes for the head. He is definitely wounded, but it's not quite enough, and he spins away as you hit him. Richie loses eye contact. At this moment, I will allow
Come on, werewolf.
the werewolf to enter the scene.
Oh yeah, demon form. You guys not seen that. A demon form. Yes. So, she literally has eyes of smoke right now. Never mind a classic smoky eye. And there are wings. They actually a lot of the time they'd look almost like a fur wrap around her, but right now they are extended out, like pissed off cat style. And the hands are just sheer bone. And yeah, right now she has a pitchfork, and she's going at Goodfellow.
Yeah, and I think that Lee will burst in through like essentially like the fire exit door to the apartment. Already blood around his muzzle, and sniffing the air, he's going to charge across the room and again just lunge straight for Goodfellow.
Then you sound like you're just doing a straightforward unleashing attack.
That's a 6, but I think I still have a debt on Rose. So not on Rose, sorry, on Ruby. So
Yep.
I'm going to cash that in to ask for help.
Okay, how do I help?
You roll to lend a hand and get in the way. So you roll
Okay.
with the faction. You're rolling with Knight again.
I'm rolling with Knight, so mine's +0, but okay, that is actually a 9.
So on a 9, you're putting +1 forward, but you expose yourself to danger, entanglement, or cost.
Well, given that I was in the middle of fighting somebody and a werewolf just burst in, I think that's legit. He's probably just aiming for anyone in the vague vicinity of. So there's probably as much chance he hits me.
Okay, so as you sort of you manage just to position yourself and you see the werewolf coming in, he turns to see the werewolf, and at that present moment in time whispers "nobody" as the werewolf pins it down and tears its throat away.
He just summoned the boss.
I tell Ruby where the blacklist is. I tell her to run to Gregory Peck and he'll protect her.
Okay. I think we already have nobody in the room.
Oh, do we?
Well, assuming that he has the same power I do, Goodfellow just whispered nobody on his way out.
Okay, well, it depends on who Mr. Nobody
next.
looks at first, then, basically. Because if he looks at Richie first, I can keep his eyes off you.
So, to be quite honest, I feel Ruby running away with the list and you two turning to face what comes in the room. It's a good place for credits to roll, because there shouldn't ever be
a nice ending,
a happy ending in Noire saga.
I never got to.
Apart possibly from Rose, who may just have a bit of a power vacuum amongst the vampires.
So, if you want to have a closing line in this scene, you're more than welcome. But another fight doesn't seem like it's going to add anything to
No.
the narrative at this point.
I think
And leaving it open is more interesting in some ways because you've got extra games set in this city.
Mm-hmm.
I think Richie looks over at Lee in wolf form and pulls off his coat, pulls out that handgun that he got a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
and turns to face the smoke that's clouding into the room. And he just looks over at and he goes like, "He's looking at you, kid," and cocks the gun and basically like prepares to die. And maybe somewhere Blanche, finally is at peace now that Temperance is dead.
Let's
Summon Blanche if she's not gone yet. She might have something to say.
move towards any epilogue scenes. In the coming weeks, where would we see Rose? Vampiric struggles are over. The East Coast vampires have retreated, but a number of the ancients in Los Angeles have been killed.
I think Rose has still found a way to dominate the scene where she is. Maybe a little bit warier than before, but I think you see her just getting off the phone with an agent about her newest gig, and then just saying like, "All right, Mags," and in comes Mags with two young fans, and Rose is like, "I just signed a new contract, and I feel like it's time to celebrate."
Okay. 6 months later, where is Ruby Chance, and what did she do with the blacklist?
I think she has buried it as deep as she knows how in terms of keeping it safe, and is trying to build alliances to work out how to destroy it safely, because that is a link to Mr. Nobody's blood. If the other two are dead, that is a link back to Mr. Nobody, and it can maybe, if it's destroyed right, maybe it can destroy him. Because he'll have got away somehow from whatever went on in that top room, or she doesn't believe he's dead. Whatever else anybody's told her, until she's seen him gone. So she's holding on to that partly as insurance, but also partly to make sure she doesn't cause damage to the people on the list by trying to destroy it. Names have power. What she's always known. Names have power. So she is researching a way to make sure these names are not used in the wrong way. And maybe through it, she'll find a way of using her own name to get free.
Lee, how does Lieutenant Dudley ensure that Peaches, Dolly, and all the people that Lee used to look after are kept safe now?
I think that it's just simply the fact that he has been assigned sort of that beat as his patch now after the mayor's special task force was, I imagine, dissolved for reasons that may or may not have made the newspapers. But yeah, I think because he's actually sort of in charge of the beat, but also because he is a sort of tough, hardline type, the other officers kind of follow his lead. ensure that they're safe from both predation, both mortal and supernatural.
Cool. Richie. When the ghostly Richie first gets into brain into Blanche's Studebaker, where do they ride off into the sunset?
Down Sunset Boulevard, baby.
Close. Right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to stop recording and then we'll do some Roses and Thorns to end the saga. So just before I stop broadcast, that is the end of this segment. But the LA Noire series will return next in September with Monster Heart set in the pre-war years.